Ben Domenech is a conservative writer and publisher of the Federalist website. Good morning.
Good to be with you.
So what does this do for the president in the political context of what happened last week, this rolling back of environmental regulation?
You know, it's an interesting time for the president right now. He's facing a lot of different challenges from a lot of different directions, and he's trying to find, frankly, a good win that he can give his supporters. After the debacle of this health care law in the last week, he wants to find something he can deliver on very quickly in order to change the narrative in Washington.
Second question, what does it do to the environment, climate change, and the planet?
You know, I think this is going to be an interesting question going forward when it comes to these different accords. The real question that I think a lot of people have about climate policy is whether we're going to be able to deliver on the kind of changes that we need to achieve, and whether that can be done through government regulation at all. A lot of the skepticism on the right side of the aisle is whether that can actually be achieved through accords like the Paris Agreement. Instead, I think they're looking to things like technological advancement and other changes in order to increase the kind of health and clarity that we have within our environmental experience.
So now there are calls for Devin Nunes to recuse himself for this investigation. Where do you see that going, Ben? And do you think it's necessary to have legitimacy in this investigation?
I think you do need to have a legitimate investigation, except that right now we do have an investigation when it comes to the Russia side of things from the FBI, James Comey. And I think that when it comes to these types of calls, they're much more a representation of the partisan interests of Democrats in Washington. As we've seen in the past, the powers of the minorities in Congress in order to influence administrations really do come from the investigative side. That's what's going on here. Chairman Nunes is actually someone who has a lot of trust within the Republican coalition as being someone who is not a camera hog or someone who chases headlines. That's one of the reasons why he got this job in the first place.
But there does appear to be a lack of transparency.
There is a lack of transparency at this point on his part, but I think one of the reasons for that is that he has a history of cultivating a lot of intelligence sources within the community. He was a clear sort of source of the information that related to the effect of intelligence when it came to CENTCOM and ISIS a few years ago. One of the real questions going forward is what really matters here. Is it the question about Donald Trump's tweet? I don't think it is at all. I think there is an open question if what Chairman Nunes is claiming is correct, if there really was intelligence information that was distributed throughout the agencies, and he now claims in an interview yesterday to the Obama White House itself, that is something that deserves further inquiry, and it's one of the reasons we need more transparency in this process sooner rather than later.
He hasn't discovered anything, and he hasn't shared it with anybody.
Really? You don't think so?
He showed up at the White House.
Yes.
And received some information from a source that he's not even disclosed to either other Republicans or Democrats on the committee.
But if
it's that relevant, shouldn't he share that with other members of the committee?
I think one of the interests that he's
been clear that Obama did not wiretap Trump Tower.
Of course, that has nothing to do with what's going on here, in the sense that he went to the White House to go into a secure facility, a SCIF, in order to view information that is only available networked through the executive branch, that is not available at the SCIF that they have on Capitol Hill. He claims.
I've never heard of that.
Okay, well,
members of the Intelligence Committee go all the time up to Capitol Hill and give them briefings in secure facilities on Capitol Hill.
Absolutely. But I think that in this case, he has a source that's within the intelligence community that he claims brought this information to him. He's viewed it. He's taken down the document numbers involved. He wants other members of the committee to view it. But I think in this case, he's very protective of an internal source within the intelligence community. But that's less important, I think, than having real clarity about what's gone on here.
So what do you think this information will tell us?
I think ultimately that it may tell us that this was not that big of a deal, that this was a situation where they had incidental collection of information, perhaps conversations between foreign officials about their own meetings with the Trump transition team, where they expected certain family members, for instance, to end up within the White House team. But we don't know that until we actually have this information, and that's one of the reasons we need more clarity from this committee, from Chairman Nunes, sooner rather than later.
Ben, thank you so much for joining us.
Good to be with you.